Hello and welcome back to my channel, Bookish Lady Night, where we get a look behind the book. Today, I'm joined by Rachanee. She is an author and a narrator. I think that that's incredible. But we're here to talk about her and her latest book that is called Seeing Red, and it's a retelling of the Little Red Riding Hood story. So I'm very excited to chat with you today. Thank you so much for joining me.
Well, thank you for having me.
I'm excited. So if you could give us like an elevator pitch, I mean, obviously we know it's a retelling, but can you give us like a little teaser about what your version is like?
Ooh, without giving away spoilers, that's gonna be hard. Let me see. Basically, it's a dark gothic fairy tale retelling. That's the whole premise of the entire series. Slow burn romance, slow burn mystery. And in this particular one, Ray, the main character, her life is kind of upended when a series of brutal attacks happen in the woods near her house,
Mhm.
and a mysterious handsome sheriff enters the town to investigate, and he's a little too interested in her life, and she's not sure if he may be the one behind the attacks.
I can't wait to read it. I love retellings. I love Little Red Riding Hood. That's one of my favorites. So I'm excited. So, what started you on your writing journey? Or was it somebody or a certain story? Or how did you come about starting to do this?
Oh, wow. Well, I trained as a journalism major back in college and then kind of just went down the creative writing path. I came to Hollywood intending to do acting and I thought screenwriting, and the pandemic hit and we had all this time, right? Because we were all shut up in our houses. And I
Yeah.
was supposed to play in a Dungeons and Dragons campaign, and it didn't happen because it was supposed to be like a live show. And, obviously we couldn't all get together. But I had this backstory for the character I was supposed to play, like knocking around in my head. And so I wrote a novel out of it. And then I was like, well, this was fun. So I just kept going. And then I had like now 7 novels later, here I am with it. So yeah.
That my best friend actually, her son is obsessed with Dungeons and Dragons. And I mean, I've heard about it, but he actually made us a campaign. So I played for the first time at the end of last year and it was so much fun. I'm obsessed now.
I feel like I would be surprised if writers and especially fantasy writers haven't tried it at least once. Like, it's a really good exercise just in improv and creativity, even if you don't ever use it, for actual writing.
Yeah. Yeah, I found it really fun, and my friend was telling me that a lot of authors use the dice, and they, like, will make a ledger, and then depending on what they roll, they use that whatever it says on this side, and they, like, incorporate that in their story, so it keeps it, like, fresh and interesting. I'm like, "That's a really cool idea. I
That's
wanna try that."
hardcore. Like, what if they kill the character, like, on page 10?
But yeah, no, that would be good. Maybe not things that are, like, life-threatening.
Yeah.
Maybe not life-threatening things, but I love that. So, since you do a lot of fantasy,
Mhm.
if you could pick any of the towns or villages you created or wrote, where would you wanna live? And what
Oh,
book is it from?
oh, wow. That's tough,
You know, it's like picking your
honestly.
favorite child, I'm sorry.
No, right? I'd probably have to pick so out of my first series, the Kingdom Legacy series, I'd probably pick Anlin, which is like I always thought of it as like a kind of Agrabah type place, like a desert town. Spoiler alert, there's a bunch of shapeshifters that live there, so I just think that'd be fun, honestly. Yeah.
I'm in my shapeshifter, like, era right now with reading, so I'm gonna go get that one because 'cause I'm,
That's
like, obsessed
awesome.
right now with shapeshifter books, so I like that. So, with your stories, who has been kind of the most difficult main character to write?
Wow, that's a good one too. It's funny because when I first started writing, so I have 2 series, the Kingdom Legacy series and then Seeing Red is part of a new series called Retold. When I first started writing Kingdom Legacy, I didn't plot anything. Like, I didn't even really know much about the world until book 3, and then I'm like, "Oh, maybe I should think about a map and where things are located and, like, a magic system." Like, I don't know why, I just didn't really I know some people, like, they have a whole Bible and they know everything and they know the world lore, and I'm like, "I don't know, we'll just kinda see what happens." I knew the easiest people to write were Reese and Farah because they'd already appeared and they were, like, my dynamic comedy duo, and I feel like anybody outside of, like, my main quad, which would be Jenica Bayan and then Bayan's 2 best friends, Reese and Farah, who become Jenica's best friends. Anybody outside of them was hard because it was like, I didn't know how to tie them back in, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, to keep them in the story or keep it contextual to the story. It was difficult.
Yeah.
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 So out of your characters, were there any, like, side characters that, like, kinda took you by surprise and you were like, "Oh, there'll just be a little here," and then they were like, "I need a book," and they ended up getting your own story?
That would probably be Reese and Farah,
Yeah.
honestly. They appear as a mercenary duo in book 1, and then they get rehired in book 2 with a different main character, and then I just was like, "I like you guys so much, I wanna keep writing you guys." And this is really random, but I had the pleasure of so when book 5 came out, that's Farah's story. If you want, I can send you the cover so you can post it in the, corner or something. But when that book came out, the next week I was doing a D&D live campaign, and I kid you not, the dungeon master for that campaign was the spitting image of the cover girl for Farah, this really striking African American woman, curly purple hair, and I was like, "You in the flesh, what's going on?" Right? I was like and she wasn't the model or anything, like, I had never met her before, but I'm like, "Whoa," I was, like, so excited to, like, meet my character in real life.
That's so cool. That would be so much fun. That would be, like, trippy for sure.
Yeah.
Definitely trippy. So, how do you go about keeping things fresh as a writer when you've written, multiple stories within the same realm or, fantasy stories? What do you do to keep that momentum and keep it fresh?
You know, it's funny, I actually nearly did run into an issue, I think it was book 1 and book 3. My editor was like, "You're kind of treading the same ground a little bit," and I was like, "Oh," and so I had to really, tweak a few things and add in a few characters and stuff like that. The nice thing about the fairy tale retellings is I have a framework because we already know how these stories are supposed to end. So the challenge on that is coming up with a premise that people haven't thought of before, if that makes sense. I don't wanna I really don't wanna do spoil.
Paradigm shift, like slightly eschewing what they think to be real in the story.
Yeah, gosh, like, if I tell you the twist I really don't want to.
Yeah, don't spoil it.
Okay.
So, the way that you set it up to be slightly different, but still keeping true to the story?
Yeah, like, I would ask myself, like, when I was doing Seeing Red, and you'll know when you read it, uh the thought there was a thought in there that I was like, logically, I'm like, "No one has ever asked this particular question of these characters. Why? Why have we not?" And so once I asked myself that question, I had the whole thing right there. My next book in this series is called Midnight Rose, and it's a retelling of Beauty and the Beast, and this is not a major spoiler, I guess, but I went with the premise, well, what if Beauty was the Beast? No one's ever asked themselves that, you know? So that's what I'm kind of trying to do with the second series is like, we know these fairy tales inside out, so what is something we haven't asked ourselves that's been staring us in the face about all these familiar stories?
Oh, I love that. That's a good take. I like that. I like when they kind of flip it, like it's like a flop of who you think is the beast and or who you think that character is. It's somebody else. I like that. So, what inspired you to write in this genre?
I've always loved fantasy. I grew up reading fantasy as a kid. Ironically, I don't narrate a ton of fantasy. I think I've narrated of all the books that I've done, it's maybe been like a fifth of the books that have come through. I'm more in like the romance and like regular fiction genres and stuff. But I've always loved fantasy. I think we don't really how do I say this? It's kind of like comedy to me in the sense that like you can hit really heavy topics and not get what's the word? Not fined, but like if you hit a heavy topic in a drama, then everyone's like, "Oh my gosh," and everyone freaks out about it, on the pro and the con side. But you can kind of attack the same heavy things in comedy, and people kinda let it slide because, well, it's comedy, and so fantasy's the same way to me where, like, we can hit some really heavy topics, but we're slightly removed from it, so
Hmm.
we can stomach it a little bit better. I think that's how I'm
Yeah,
trying to get at,
I agree.
Yeah.
I like that. So if you could pick, I know again this is hard, is there one of the books that you've written that you're like most proud of? Like this book, I didn't think I'd get there, or I did so well on this book, like this book, I'm so proud of this.
You know, it's funny, I think as a writer, I'm always proud of the latest thing I've written because I can tell I've grown in my craft. I really like from the Kingdom Legacy series, I really like book 5, which is Era of Secrets and Specters. It's a mystery fantasy, and I was actually really proud of myself for because I'm not a mystery writer, so I was proud of myself for how I was able to put it together, and hopefully not too, what's the word? Not too many red herrings, but not too obvious either.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll see, we'll see. I will say I do really like my current series, the Retold series, because it's not something I like more lighthearted stuff. So
Mhm.
to kinda go into a darker realm, I'm like, "Wow, I didn't know this was in me."
Yeah. So without I mean, this we might have to skip this question because it might be spoiler, but maybe it won't be. For your books, do you have a favorite villain that you've written? Is that too much of a spoiler? I know some authors I can ask that because they're like their character from the beginning, that's the bad guy, and they're like for sure like that.
Yeah. I mean, I don't have so the thing with this with both of the series is they're standalones and connected universes. And so I don't have like a set villain that is the same villain throughout the whole series. I did have a villain that I introduced in I want to say it was book 4 or book 5, and I did sort of intend for him to be like the ultimate big bad in 7 and it just sort of didn't happen that way. So
Mhm.
if I ever revisit the series, he's still around to use, if that makes sense.
Yeah, you have him as like as a spare in your pocket.
Yeah, like, he's not quite dead and he's not quite alive, so we'll see. I think more in terms of favorite villains, I'm very happy with the twists I've been doing in the Retold series, and to say any more would be so spoilery.
Yeah, no, don't spoil. But so
Yeah.
we'll have that in mind when we read them. You're
Mhm.
happy with the twist. I like that. So how do you balance world building while keeping the dialogue and the characters moving forward? Do you feel like you kind of info dump the world or do you trickle it in as you're writing? Like what's your stance on when you're bringing in
Well, the funny thing is since I am a pantser, I don't know if you've ever talked about
Yeah, I'm
pantsers.
a pantser. I know
Okay.
exactly.
Yes, alright. So since I don't really plan ahead, I don't really think too hard about lore, to be
Mhm.
honest. Like I said in my first series, I didn't even think about lore until book 3, and then I was like, "Oh, I really need to flesh out this world and think about who's doing what and why." And so I just sort of like if I sprinkle it in, it's kind of accidental. I would say, starting with book 4 in the first series, you do start to see more things happening behind the scenes where, like, something happens politically and it affects the entire world, and you're not lost if you start later in the series, but, like, it's just like our world, right? Something happened, in Bulgaria, it might affect you in Canada eventually, kinda thing.
Mhm.
But yeah, I've never been a big info dumper, and I think it's also because I come from a screenwriting background. Like, my first book was short. I'm a YA writer, supposed to be, what, 60 to 80K? It was like K, and I didn't realize how short it was until I did the first draft, and I was like because as a screenwriter, I rely on the director and the DP to flesh out the world. I'm not supposed to be describing things. I'm like, "Oh, now I am the director. Now I am the director of photography, and I have to describe these things." So now I've gotten better about that, but it was definitely a mind shift for me.
Yeah. Yeah, I could see that. So when you are writing, since you are a pantser, I know that it kind of comes as you're writing. I write too, so I'm that same way. It just kind of like pop in my head. But I'm influenced by things out and around or places I've traveled. Do you feel like that has played a role in your writing?
For sure. I can tell what TV shows or what music I was listening to at a time of book. I can tell you who I was probably reading, like what authors I was reading. I notice it creep into my writing style. So if I'm reading something that's very high language and very formal, suddenly it creeps into my writing too. Things like that. And well, I just finished reading. I'm so excited, by the way. This is not sponsored. It's just I'm very excited. But I read Rachel Gillig's Night in the Moth last year. Have you read it?
I am halfway through it. It's so good. I
Isn't
read
it
the other
good?
ones. Oh my God.
Oh, it's so good, and the second one is coming out in September of this year.
I
So I'm
cannot.
like,
All right.
"Yeah." And I was reading that when I was, writing Seeing Red, so I can feel the influence, you know what I mean? Just like it was, like, in the back of my head, dark and
Yeah.
gothic, So yeah,
Yep.
I can kinda tell, like, what's influencing me at the time of writing.
Yeah. So when you're making stuff, since you are, more of a discovery writer or a pantster, do you create like a vision board or a mood board with your characters or like a Pinterest board, like anything to kind of guide you, or is it just totally strictly from your
I really should. I really should. I have loose outlines of stuff. I really just ki it sounds gonna you're gonna be like, "Wow, this girl's crazy." I really just have, like, a log line from leftover from my script days, right? I just have a 1 or 2 sentence log line of a book, and then I go off of that. When I wrote book 2, though, I did use tarot to kind of help guide me as a framework, and so 'cause I knew I wanted it be in the kingdom of Orkwell because that's the kingdom directly south of Kalia, which is where the first book takes place. Other than that, I didn't have any premise. So I actually did a tarot reading for my main character, and that's how I came up with that one. That's actually been the only book I've done that for. I should probably try that again sometime. It was
Love
actually
that.
fun.
I love tarot.
That's really cool.
I love that your book has that. I can't wait to read that. Well, it's book 2.
Book 2, yeah.
Okay. I love that. So you just were telling us about the book that you couldn't put down recently. That was actually one of my questions. So what are some of your favorite authors that you go to time and time again?
Oh gosh. If you've ever read Patricia C. Reedy, I think you'll see her influence a ton in my books. I like the fast paced and like the witty dialogue. And I feel like she was writing strong female characters before we even knew what that term was. Like we hadn't coined that phrase yet. She's probably like my go-to in terms of like I will read her all the time. Another one
Another
for witty banter and all that is Gail Carriger. Oh, I love her stuff. I love steampunk. So yeah.
Yeah.
And werewolves and vampires. So she's got a lot of shapeshifters in hers.
So being a writer and you've had 7 books out now, are you celebrating your milestones?
You know, I should. I really like these are such a good like thought. I'm like, oh, should I? It's funny. I always think like I'll have a launch party or something like that. I did do a Kickstarter for Seeing Red. That was fun. I just never think about doing like a launch party or anything like that. I think it's because again, coming from the film world, I forget how long of a lead time you need in the lit world versus the film world. Like in the film world, you can be like, oh, the film's coming out next month. We can pull together an event and no hassle, get like 100 people there. Wow, look at this. It's a great turnout. You can't do that in the book world because people need time to read the book. You know what I mean? Like you can
Yeah.
watch a film in 2 hours, but you can't read a book in 2 hours. And so I always forget, like, oh yeah, it takes like 6 months. It takes longer to plan out an event for a book, and then I just forget about it. And then it's
You
upon me.
should.
I
You
should.
wrote a book. Like, you should celebrate it. You should do something, even if it's something small with just your friends, like, just something to celebrate the fact that you started and finished a book. Like, that's amazing. So,
Appreciate that. I really should. If you have any party ideas, let me know.
yeah. No, seriously, I think that's good. Or, like, local indie bookstores local to you. I
Mhm.
don't know where you're located. Are you in LA?
LA, yeah.
So, the Rip Otis.
Yeah.
Down here, there's, down now near towards San Diego is Meet Cute Bookshop, and then, Mysterious Galaxy,
Okay.
and I've been to signings at all 3 of those places. They support indie authors, so you could go there and have a little, like, meet and greet with people, and then you can sign copies of your books, and they do, like, a little Q&A kinda like this, and it's really cool, so
Thank you. Yeah, I'll have to remember that. Good thing we're recording this so I can
yeah,
write it down.
definitely. So do you feel like writing energizes you, or does it make you tired?
Ooh, the answer is yes. If I have an idea and I know where to go with it, then, like, I can crank that. Like, Midnight Rose, I wrote that in about 2 months, which is very quick for me. It usually takes me, like, maybe 4 to 6 to get a first draft out right now. So, the first 2 books in Retold are done. One is published, Midnight Rose is the next one, and then I'm currently working on one, that's based off of The Little Match Girl, which is my favorite fairy tale, except it is not being my favorite book to write right now because I'm stuck in the middle. So yeah. So if I'm stuck on something, then it's a slog. But if I know where I'm going with it, I'm like, oh yeah, like my hands are like on fire. But
Yeah.
so right now, the answer is no. But before it was yes. Catch me next time on the next book.
Depending on the book, depending on the
Really
book.
does. It really does. Yeah.
So do you have a writing kryptonite? Something that when you're in the zone, it'll just derail you?
Wow. I would have to say, like, I'll watch a lot of like videos and stuff while I'm writing. So if I get sucked into something, that means I'm not focusing enough here,
Mhm.
because I actually, it sounds weird to like watch a video and write at the same time. I can't really do music and I can kind of do like ambient sounds, but I'll just put on like a TV show or like a playthrough of a game or something I don't have to pay too much attention to. So if I'm paying attention to this and not the writing, it means there's a disconnect with my writing, if that
Yeah.
makes sense.
No, that
Yeah.
totally makes sense. When I was in college, I would have sound on the background when I was writing my papers because it was just like, I don't know, it just helped,
Yeah.
like broke up the loudness in my head.
I can't do
So,
silence. I don't know how people
yeah,
can ever study to silence. I can't
yeah.
do it.
No. Like songs, I would start singing the songs, and so then I would get distracted. So I was like, I can't listen to music. I can listen to music when I paint. Like when I'm painting, music is great. But if I'm writing, I'm like, "I can't because I wanna sing the song." Like, it just
Right.
doesn't work, so
It's
I understand what you're saying with the
yeah.
show and the
It's weird because, like so for example, I mean, small segue, but also as an audiobook narrator, if I'm listening to an audiobook that I'm trying to proof, so if it's like my book or like for a client, I'll play a game like Stardew Valley that I don't have to think about too hard, but I need to be like somewhat mentally distracted because I can't just
Mhm.
sit there and listen to it. But I also 'cause I made the mistake, I thought I could proof my book and also, like, write my own book at the same time, and my brain exploded. I'm like, "I can't do this.
You're like, "Too much, too much, too
Too much."
much."
I need distractions either visually or, like, auditory. I can't yeah, too much.
Yeah. So have you ever struggled with writer's block?
All the time. Oh my
How do you
gosh.
deal with it?
I usually take a walk, play with the cat, eat an ice cream cone.
All
I
good things, all good things.
it's just, it's weird for me with writer's block, but actually it compounds. So if I can plow through it, it's better, but if I let it fester, it just keeps coming back. I don't know if anyone else has that problem.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see if, like, you just push yourself to get through it, then it even if it's, like, you're off with whatever you're writing, you can always, like, cut it, later, like,
Yeah,
keep it moving.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
So if you could go in through a portal, since we're talking about your fantasy books,
Mhm.
and you could go see your younger writing self, what would you tell yourself knowing what you know now?
I mean, a lot of it was the marketing, honestly. Like I said, I didn't realize just how long things take, how long of a lead time you need, what works and what doesn't. It's gonna sound weird. I was doing like a bazillion writing jobs at the same time as writing. So like I was writing scripts for a YouTuber at one point, and I was writing. And then I was working on comics for somebody else, and I was writing. And then I was working on a game, and I was writing. And so for some reason, doing somebody else's writing, like, actually helped me be a more disciplined writer. And now that I don't have the game writing job anymore, I'm like, I have too much time. I don't like it. I need the structure. It sounds weird, you know? But
Could see that, I could see that. So then what does a typical writing, day look like for you?
well, my cat prances all over me at 4 in the morning to make sure I'm alive. I grumble at him and then I go back to bed. If it's a typical day, I'll usually record in the morning if I'm like recording for a client or recording one of my books or just doing general voiceover. So I'll usually record like say from 6 to 9 and then I'll start writing like 10 to noonish. One nice thing about being your own boss is I'll take a break around 1 and I'll, like, play a video game or something, but it's a nice way to, like, break up the day, and then I'll go back into it maybe around 2. I'll either do admin or right now I'm working on my own video game, so I'm trying to do that in the afternoons or go back into writing, and one discipline, I don't know really how it got started, but I'll take a notebook with me to bed. I'll usually go to bed like around 9, but I don't sleep. I'll take a notebook with me and I'll start writing again. Like I look at my word processing program on my phone and I'll start writing from where I left off,
Mhm.
even if it's just like 2 or 3 pages. And then the next day when it's my actual writing time, I just transcribe that into my writing program. And I found it like kind of gives me a boost so I can keep going beyond that point, if that makes sense.
Do you think it's how they say, the pen to paper with your brain, that connection versus typing it? Do you think that that's the spark?
You know, I never thought about that. It could be. It could be. Also, I love stationery.
Mhm. Me too.
We just went to the fountain pen, convention that was in Torrance, like, last weekend. Yes, if you like stationery, it's dangerous. So, like, I have, like, all these, like, pens and fun inks and, like, fancy notebooks, and I'm like, "Well, I should use them." And so, like, it's just a joy to, like and I think because if you've ever, seen me at a con, I'm always, like, in full fantasy garb. I think it just sort of gets me in the mood, like, I'm hand scribing with a fountain pen on parchment paper. You know what I mean? It just sort of makes you feel like you're in the world.
So how did you get into the narrating side of the book world?
Gosh. So it's funny, I've been an actress in LA for quite some time, on camera mostly. And prior to the pandemic, I sort of delved into voiceover. I wasn't really sure. And then I landed a feature film and I was like, maybe I can do this. And I decided to go full time into acting at a certain point because I'm like, it's time. I'm getting more acting jobs and I don't want to, have to keep calling out of work and stuff like
Yeah.
that. And I went full time and I quit my job. And that was January of 2020. Oops, daisy. And I remember it was crazy because every acting coach told their on camera actors to pivot into voiceover. So you couldn't get gear for 8 months. So I
Mhm.
had this janky USB mic and, like, I'm doing these audiobooks, and if you listen to my early stuff, you'd probably be like, "Oh, it's horrible." Just I was learning how to narrate, I had a bad equipment, all this stuff, but I kept going at it, and it was a really good time to, get into it, honestly. The audiobook landscape has really changed from when I got started just even in 2020, but I loved it. I mean, I love books. So it's like, cool, I get to read books for free? What?
Is it difficult to shift from different voices, like, to keep track of the different tones and different pitches that you do for each character when you're narrating?
It used to be. I've taken some classes since then and stuff. And it's funny, I have in my booth a whiteboard. This is extremely sophisticated now. It's just a whiteboard and it'll have all the characters' names and it'll be like, this is a line about them, like, oh, they're the MC girl, oh, they're the MC guy, oh, they're the mom. And like it gives me keywords so I remember what their voices sound like.
Mhm.
I'm sure other people have way better systems than my little janky whiteboard, but it works.
I have a whiteboard too. I put my whole entire schedule for the month on there and write it in there and then erase it when I need to. It makes it so much easier, and it's on a big one. I
That's
totally you're
good.
fine. I think
What a
it's
great
good.
investment.
We could do a little would you rather, a little rapid fire questions. They're kind of fun.
Okay.
Some of them I've been told I'm mean, so just bear with me.
Okay.
So, would you rather read from a physical book, an audiobook, or an ebook?
Oh gosh. I would say normally physical, but as I've gotten older and my eyes suck, if it's big print physical, yes. Otherwise, I'd probably need an ebook so I can, make it go bigger. But if
Yeah.
it's a really good audiobook narrator, then that works too. So, yes to all 3.
Yes, all 3. Okay, why choose? It's a why choose. Okay. So, would you rather crack the spine of a paperback or ruin the hardback's dust jacket? I know I've been told I'm mean. I'm sorry.
That is mean. Oh my gosh. Well, I don't know, is the, hardcover, is the what do they call it?
The spine of the
The
book and the front and end pages pretty.
I should know this because 'cause I've been going through this with my printer. Is the case pretty or is it plain? Is it decorated?
Let's say it's decorated
Okay, then I might not mind getting rid of the dust jacket if it's pretty underneath.
if it's pretty underneath.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So, would you rather have dinner with your favorite author or your favorite character? It can be your characters or someone else's.
Wow. Does the author have to be alive?
No,
Well, that could really gosh. I don't know, I think characters might be more fun though.
characters. Okay. Do you have a
Yeah.
character in mind?
Oh, yeah, anybody from the, Enchanted Forest Chronicles, the Patricia C. Reedy books, my
Yeah.
favorite growing up.
Okay. So, would you rather a fantasy or romantasy, or would you rather a rom-com romantic suspense?
Ooh, probably a rom-com romantic suspense.
Mhm.
I think just because I've been reading and writing a lot of romantasy lately, it would be a nice change of pace.
I change your face. Okay. Okay, so this one's another one that they're like, "You're mean." Okay. So, would you rather reread your least favorite book every month or never read your favorite book again?
Wow. Yeah, that is a harsh one. I mean, especially because, like, what falls under least favorite to me would be, like, either a math textbook or, like, a classic. Because I don't really do well with the classics except for Mark
Mhm.
Twain. So, you'd be asking me to read, like, Moby Dick or something, like, every month? Like, that's just
Yeah,
harsh.
it's just harsh.
I guess probably never reading my favorite books again just because I've read them so much, I kinda have them memorized anyway.
Memorized.
So, we'll keep the happy memories. I don't wanna read
Alright.
Moby Dick every month. I'm sorry.
Okay. Yeah, I agree. I wouldn't want to either. I'll just live with the memories in my mind.
Yeah.
So, would you rather tea or coffee?
Oh, tea, hands down tea.
Okay. And then what flavor is your favorite?
Well, any herbal, peppermint or chamomile, yeah.
Would you rather read the book first or watch the movie first?
Ooh, okay. So, fun thing about this is for the way my brain works, usually the first version is my favorite. And I mean the first version of what I'm exposed to. So, like, the first version of a song, even if it's someone's remake, is usually gonna be my favorite. Or,
Okay.
like, if I see the movie before the book, it's usually my favorite. I don't know why that's how I am,
Mhm.
but I went through this phase where I'd see the movie and I would seek out the book, and the book wasn't as good. I'm looking at
Yeah.
you, Legally Blonde, I'm so sorry. But,
No.
yeah, I sought out that book, I did not like it as much as the movie, I also felt that way about Princess Diaries. So
Yes.
and I don't know if it's because it was the first thing I saw was the movie and not the book, like, maybe it might have flipped if I had read the book
So
first.
good though.
Did you like the Princess Diaries book?
No, I liked the movies better. That's what I'm
Yeah,
saying, like, they were
yeah,
so good. They were so
yeah,
good. It's, like, hard to kick that out of your mind.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So, I don't think the book's always better, I don't know.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So
I feel
sometimes
like
you like m
sacrilegious for saying that. Am I gonna get, like, struck down by lightning now for saying that
it's
as an
within
author?
context. Like, it's within context depending on what the book is. Sometimes the movies are better. Okay. Would you rather a cat or a dog?
A cat, I have 2 of them, one on my left.
Would you rather a sunny day or a rainy day?
Ooh, ooh. Okay, well, am I in Los Angeles or am I somewhere else? 'Cause a rainy day in LA is
You.
actually really nice. I really like
Yeah.
rainy days here, I get a lot done.
Yeah.
I don't know
Yeah,
what
because
it
it
is.
keeps you inside.
Mhm. Yeah.
You're more productive when it rains.
Yeah,
That's
sure,
how I feel.
for
Because I don't wanna
sure.
go out in the rain. I just wanna look at it from outside and just stay
Yeah.
out there.
Okay, this is, like, a random, like, thing, but I come from Michigan, which, like, cold weather state, and my husband's Irish, and, like, they have a lot of amazing authors that come from Ireland. I am
Okay.
convinced it's because if you have seasons and cold weather, it forces you to be productive. Like, I have no sense of time passing since I moved
No.
to LA.
Yeah.
So, like, I think when it's hot out, I'm less productive because 'cause I'm just like, "Oh, it's like a year-long summer." So the rain and the weather changes are actually good for me, but it's not like I wanna live in snow again. So, I don't know. I don't know what to do. Yes.
Yeah. No, I feel that. I feel like when it's kinda like Groundhog Day here, when it's always warm and it's always pretty outside, it's like, "What was he doing? Wait, what am
Mhm.
I supposed to be working on?" Like, you just can't focus.
Yeah.
I get that. Us SoCal girlies are always distracted by the nice weather. So, when you are reading a story that is fantasy based, do you prefer when you get all of the magic system, all of the world building kinda, like, given to you up front, or do you prefer when it's, like, trickled throughout the story?
When I was younger, I would have said I wanted it up front, but
Mhm.
now I like it trickled through, partly because I think that's, like, more like how real life is, like, you don't get all the information right at the same time, and I find the people that do the heavy world building, that's more like adult fantasy, right? The people who kinda sprinkle it's YA, and I don't know if other people feel this way. I gravitate more towards YA, not just because I write it, but because as I get older, I have less time and less brain bandwidth. So
Mhm.
I don't enjoy long series anymore. I don't enjoy too heavy of a book where I have to concentrate on unless I'm, like, on a plane or
Yeah.
something where I have no other choice. But if I'm just reading it, like, before I go to bed, I don't wanna think too hard. And
Yeah.
I don't wanna be like, "Oh, I have to finish this 50-page chapter before I can sleep." I'm just not in that mindset anymore. So, I feel like I'm such a horrible person for saying this, you know? Like all
No.
the authors who are amazing, who are great world builders, I can't read them as much anymore unless I'm forced to concentrate, like on a
Yeah.
plane, you know?
I could see that, yeah. So with you being an author that writes shifters and fantasy, I have to ask, if you could pick any mythical creature for you to become, what would it be?
You know, I feel like everyone would say dragon. I probably should be more practical and pick something like dolphin or kraken because I don't know how to swim, so I think it would force me to learn.
Yeah.
But something that would fly would be cool too, like a Pegasus.
Yeah. Yeah, that
Yeah.
would be cool too. I like that. So what do you feel is like the most difficult thing about writing for you?
It's honestly right now having lack of structure in my schedule, and so it sounds weird to me, but to have too much free time.
Mhm.
I think it's because I come from a journalistic background, I'm used to writing on deadline, so when I don't have a deadline, I don't do anything about it. So
Mm.
I kind of need to force myself to have a deadline, like, I will get 500 pages done by 2 months or something just to make myself do it.
What's the like easiest thing about writing that you find?
Well, you would think for using a fairy tale structure because it's already written for you would be the easiest. It is easy in a sense for the ones that are really well well trodden?
Hmm.
Like Beauty and the Beast, like a Little Red Riding Hood, those make it easy to have it. Like, I never knew how much I would like an outline until I was rewriting a fairy tale. And I think that's also why I'm having a bit of trouble right now with Little Magical because it's short. There's really nothing, after she lights some matches, there's nothing else to go off of. So that's where I'm having some issues like, okay, she's still
Fleshing it
going.
out more.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, in your opinion, what makes a great story?
Wow. Always character. This is funny. It's a conversation my editor and I have all the time. He's a big plot person, which is why I have him read my books. I love character though. I love characters that draw you in, that you can relate to, that even if they're in weird circumstances, like I'll never visit Mars, I'll never well, hopefully I'll never have to solve a murder, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you can still relate to like how they view things and how they react to the world, because you see a little bit of yourself in them.
Yeah, I can see that. So, what is the most surprising thing you've learned on your writing journey?
Ooh.
Something that you're just like, I didn't think that before. Or this has changed me in this way.
I think it's how much like, you don't think about it. You write something and you put it out there and you hope for the best, but it's really cool. I do a lot of live events now. I'll go to a lot of Comic Cons and stuff like that and sell my books. And it's really neat to meet repeat readers who are like, "I read this book and I want to read the rest of the series. What happens next? Oh, you have a new series. I want to see what happens next." They're with you on the journey. They believe in you as a writer and they love the stories you tell, right? Because if they didn't like your stories, they wouldn't be back. And to me, that's exciting. Like, oh my gosh, that's so touching. Like, it meant something to you. So here you are. And so that's the best part of it.
So, do you have any upcoming events where we can see you out in the wild?
Yeah. So I'm doing something else in April in downtown LA. The best way to do it, because things keep changing, is to, if you sign up for my newsletter, rashni.net/newsletter, I'll always keep you informed there. Or you can go to rashni.net/events and just see where I'll be. Yeah.
So you guys have it quickly so you can access it. Are you going to be a part of the April book crawl? Have you heard of that in San Diego? Are they doing it in LA? Have you heard of that? You might want to make a trip. I think it's the weekend of but they're doing like, there's like 30 something indie bookstores and they're all doing like an event together. Like you go to this one and then you go to the next one, kind of like a bar crawl, but you're doing it with bookstores. I did
That's
it last year. It's so
cool.
much fun.
Do you, like, pick up a book at each one, or how
You
does it work?
can, yeah, if you wanna buy like, support and they have, like, different things that are gonna be going on at each store. So,
Mhm.
like, something fun and unique. So, it's a lot of fun. So, you might wanna check that out. You meet so many cool people. The book community is there are some bad apples, but the book community as a whole are amazing and supportive, and they just wanna lift up everybody, and that's what I love about.
That's what I found. Everyone's so cool and, like, we all just, like, geek about books, you know what I mean? So, like, everyone it's like coming home. It's like finding my tribe. I'm like, "I love this?" Yeah,
Yes,
so
that's how I feel. Like, that's how I felt in Michigan. I'm like, "You are my people." Like, I am with my people. Like, it felt so cool. So, your next book, when do you anticipate will we see it maybe the end of this year, beginning of next year?
So for Midnight Rose, right now the plan is, although I'm still technically in the middle of fulfillment for seeing Red on the Kickstarter, that's a whole story with the art. But I'd like to do another Kickstarter for Midnight Rose to do a special edition. And I'm working with a board game designer to do a board game based off the first two books in the series. And that should coincide with the release of book two.
Okay, you need to send me the Kickstarter when you do it because I am, like, all over Kickstarter. I have supported
Oh,
so
okay.
many authors that way, and so I love those. So when you launch that, you have to tell me, and
For
I'll
sure.
post about it on my page also
For
because I
sure.
love.
Thank you. Yeah.
So, my last question for you is what message do you want readers to take away after finishing your book?
Wow. It's funny. I do a blind blind date with a book at my when I vend the tables, and I found that my favorite trope is found family. Um, it's just kind of like even like we were just talking now, you find your tribe amongst the reader community and the author community. Like I feel like I don't know how to even describe it. There's so many things right now in the world that I think bring us down. And if my books can help you escape from that or give you hope that you'll find your own tribe or what have you, like then I'll have done my job. You know what I mean? Like as an author and as a human being. Like just read them and have fun and escape from all this stuff for a little bit, you know?
Yeah, I love that. That's my main reason for reading. I love to escape and see things from someone else's perspective because I feel like writers, they take what they've absorbed into the world and then they, mull over it and then they write a story and they can't it's inevitable that you're going to write your own experiences or your own thoughts or opinions in some way shape or form in the book and then it can shift my paradigm or my perspective.
Yeah.
And I love that. I learn something in every single book I've read, even if it's a fantasy book. Like, that's what I love about books. So I'm excited to read yours. I'm like
Yeah,
gonna go
thanks.
start with book 1 and 2 of the first series because I want to read the tarot bit. I think that's like so cool. So I love that. And I'm definitely gonna read Seeing Red because like I love fairy tale retellings. Those are my favorites. So I'm very excited
Awesome.
about that.
Well, I hope
Well,
you
thank
enjoy it.
you. I definitely I'll read them and then I'll post and I'll tag you in them because I love to share stories that I love, and I love to bring indie authors to people because you guys don't get enough support, I feel like, at all. Like, I feel like the people that self-publish, the people that put their work out and, go to all the cons and all the different places, there's not enough of a push for them, and so I always like to be that person that helps get their name out there, so definitely. So thank you so much for joining me today. So if you love fantasy and you love fairy tale retellings, definitely check out her books. I linked them below, and please share with your book bestie and join me again next time as we get another look behind the book. Thank you again so much for being my guest today.
Thank you for having me. Thanks,
Cheers.
everybody.